What's up, gang? Welcome to the Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. I'm so pumped to have you here with me. Now, listen, the Greatness Machine, we're about two things. Number one, people who are living their passions. And number two, those who are creating greatness in the world and doing both of these things despite the odds against them. Each episode, we're going to feature interviews with game changers, business leaders, telling us their origin stories, what made them tick, what got them to where they are now. Why? So it can help you step into your greatness within your life, your business, and your career. Occasionally, you might hear a few solo episodes from myself, more as I leverage my 20 years of entrepreneurship as a CEO and founder to help you grow and level up in your journey to scale your life and your business. So come be a fly on the wall, enjoy the conversation, and I'm stoked to have you here with me. What's up, gang? Welcome to today's episode of The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and we're going to be doing a solo today. I'm really excited to be doing a solo with you and to be talking to you about who is living in your emotional house and what are we doing about our past, right? So I'm down here in Oaxaca, Mexico. I've been down here for, 3 weeks now with my family. We're on a pseudo like living abroad, working, but also kind of playing, small little sabbatical, if you will. I've been working down here for the last couple of weeks and had a fair amount of free time. And as I was talking to my therapist, I said, what's the saying? How's it go? That the idle mind is the devil's playground. I said, man, I've had so much time to think. I'm like kind of obsessing about like, what am I trying to build and what's going on with my business and, what's going on with building my podcast. And, just had all this time on my hands to like think about what's going on in my life. And that's with doing that, I've also had a lot of free time to read. And I got introduced to this book by Ed Mylett called The Power of One More. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I didn't know very much about Ed. I didn't know very much about Ed Mylett or the book. I saw him all over social media. The book came out a couple weeks ago. Didn't pay much attention. I kind of have always thought of him in the realm of the motivational speaker / kind of a Grant Cardone type of guy. I know he's got a big podcast, but I saw him interviewing Robin Sharma, I believe is his name. It's like the monk who drove the Ferrari, I think is the name of his book. And I was like, man, for whatever reason, man, it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, man, I've kind of felt like I had a lot in common with that. Just his approach, and he's very articulate, and like just the way he was kind of interacting with Robin. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go check out more stuff about this guy. So I started digging in, and my gosh, I could tell why people love him now. I mean, I really kind of fell in love with him. This is a few nights ago. And so I said, man, maybe I'll go check out his book. So I went and I downloaded his book, and I said, I'll listen to a chapter before I go to bed. It's like 11 o'clock at night on a Thursday. And next thing I know, I'm up to 1 o'clock in the morning. I listened to 2 hours of the book at like 1.5 speed, and I'm voraciously taking notes on my iPhone. And I mean, it was like this guy was just dropping knowledge. I mean, just absolutely dropping knowledge. And the whole premise of the book is like how can we achieve a life of happiness by doing one more? But there's a couple parts of the book that really were arrows to my brain of like engagement. And what I'm going to talk about are the three things that really, really stood out to me. The first that comes in chapter 2 of the book, and he starts talking about the reticular activating system, the part of the brain that becomes aware of its surroundings, and how they call it RAS, and how your RAS, your reticular activating system, it's like the thing where like you've never seen this type of car before in your life, and then all of a sudden everywhere you go you're seeing this brand new car. Right. It's happened to me actually when the Tesla first came out. Never saw it before, and all of a sudden I'm noticing them everywhere. And this is 10 years ago. My RAS picked up on this, right? So it's what are we aware of, right? And our RAS is built around survival and around making us aware of the things we need to be made aware of. So he goes into that and how that creates confirmation bias and how it's almost like where our attention goes, our energy flows to. And I have a friend, Don DePani, I interviewed, who talks a lot about this. Where your awareness goes, your energy flows, and your RAS has a big part of that. But he digs really deep, and he starts going into the book. And in the book, he starts really talking about these two things that absolutely were game changers for me. And I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to me the day after I started reading this book. That has been, I have lack of better words, a game changer. Like my life has changed since I started reading this book. I'm almost done with the book now, but this is literally like 5 days ago. And anyone knows me knows that when I get excited about stuff. But in chapter 5 of the book, he talks about this idea of cleaning your emotional house, and what type of emotional house do you have, and what is the order of your emotional house. And it was a great question. Like, you own your emotional house. Who are you letting live in your emotional house? And his point that he makes in the book that I thought was really, really interesting was, look, like, what are the top 5 or 6 emotions that you want to experience? And are those the emotions that you're letting live in your emotional house? And really, you have 2 sets of emotions that get to live in your emotional house. You have negative emotions. Those can be like guilt and anger and jealousy and fear and despair, right? Those are just some examples of these negative emotions. Shame, right? Those are emotions that we can have live in our emotional house. And the second are positive ones, like confidence and happiness and love and pride and joy and bliss and gratitude and kindness and generosity and peacefulness and tranquility, all the things that we yearn for in life, at least some of us. And the question is your emotional house in order? And if it is or is not, who are you allowing to live there? And the question, I just loved it so much, was what are the 5 or 6 emotions that you want to experience? And are those living in your emotional house? And you get to control this every day. It's your full control. You own your emotional house. And do you have a beautiful, modern, sexy, amazing, just positive, tranquil, calm, zen emotional house? Or are you a fucking hoarder with a bunch of shit in there that you just can't get through? You got piles of crap everywhere. And I think the answer that I know, what at least probably most people want, is they want that beautiful house. They want that house to be in order. They want house guests that are respectful, take care of things. They don't want that, terrible, disgusting, smelly, gross, corrosive pile hoarder house. The one like that they have on like reality TV that they go in with like 15 of my buddy Brian Scudamore's 100 got junk trucks to empty out. And I just started thinking about, like, what are the 5 or 6 emotions I want to experience? And I knew it was easy: positivity, happiness, love, gratitude, generosity, tranquility, peace. It was quick. I knew it. And then if I'm going to be honest right now, like, I know logically that those are the thoughts I want, but I go to negativity a lot. I tend to be a negative person in my brain. I tend to beat myself up. I tend to be hard on myself. I tend to have some fear and some anxiety. And I will tell you this, as a human being, that the only way I've learned how to soothe those is through achievement. From an outsider looking in, probably like people are surprised to hear that. But I've soothed my fear and anxiety through achievement in my life. And when I started getting honest, I think a big part of this is how honest are you going to be with yourself about what does your emotional house look like? And is it the house you want? Do you have a house filled with beauty and calmness and gratitude, or do you have a house that's filled differently? Is filled with negativity. And I was just being honest with myself. I said, you know what, man, the 5 or 6 emotions I want to experience are not living in my emotional house the way I want them to. And so it was really, this is chapter 2 of the book, right? Or excuse me, chapter 5 of the book, excuse me. So, I got through pretty far into the book, and that night, I was up till like 1:00 in the morning. And the next thing he talks about in chapter 8, which I thought was just really, really relevant, was he starts talking about 2 things. Number one is that we have 3 states that we can live in: the past, the present, and the future. Okay, no knowledge bombs there. But he said something that really stuck with me: that dreaming is a gift that we give ourselves. Dreaming is a gift that we give ourselves. And our past are suitcases filled with cement. And the more of it we think about, it's us like loading up more and more of our brain with cement in these suitcases, just lugging them around. Right. And he asked the questions: are you dreaming about a compelling future? Are you dreaming with imagination? Or are you intimidating yourself? What's the thought patterns are we in? Are we stuck in the past? Are we dreaming about the future? And I got really honest with myself, and I said, man, I've lived a life where the only way I can soothe myself is through achievement. I dwell on my failures. I use them to motivate myself to go and turn around and achieve. And then I never feel a sense of peace because I'm dragging around these suitcases filled with cement. And the only way I could calm down for a second is to go and achieve more. And it was just this moment where I was like, man, I don't like the way my emotional house looks, and I'm dragging around a lot of suitcases, and I am not dreaming enough. I'm not giving myself that gift of dreaming enough. And the point that he makes is like, look, man, living in the past is there's nothing wrong with learning from your past, but living in your past, dwelling on the things you did wrong, dwelling on the mistakes you made, right? Although you might be able to leverage those two, like I have, to go out and create positivity, to live in that state to then create out of it is a I'm doing it at a detriment to myself, and I'm doing it by living in an emotional house that it does not have positivity. It's coming from a negative place. And I said, man, although I consider myself positive some of the time, it's not the way I want it to be, and I am dragging around these suitcases in a way that I don't want to anymore. And so I made a promise to myself that night. I said, I'm going to go to bed, and tomorrow morning, I want to see if I can live a full day living in the present and dreaming about the future. And I'm going to live with an emotional house that's filled with positivity and gratitude and happiness and tranquility. I just one day. And I look, man, one day does not make a life, but I said, I'm going to do one day. I'm going to give myself that one day and see what happens. And so I did. This was last Friday. Today's Monday. It's 4 days ago. And I gave myself the whole day. And by the time you listen to this, it'll be a week from when I did it. And I gave myself the whole day. And holy shit, I went to bed that night. I meditated at the end of the day. I gave myself the gift of dreams about things that I want to have happen for me in my life. And I couldn't believe it. An entire day of just being in the moment, being present with my family, being present with my clients, being focused, having positive thoughts. And I went to bed and woke up, and I had zero anxiety when I woke up. And normally I wake up, I have a little bit of anxiety in my stomach, and I had none. I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. And I said, what if that happened 2 days in a row? And so I went all day again on Saturday. And it wasn't a perfect day, but I'd give myself a 9.8 out of 10. 98% of that day was almost all positivity, living in the moment. I did not dwell at all on my past. And I finished my second day. I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it wasn't a perfect day, but it was pretty good. I mean, 100% I'm not dwelling on the past. No suitcases, no cement. Emotional house looked pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty damn good. And I went to bed that night. I meditated again, gave myself the gift of dreams. And I said, I'm going to see if I can do 3 days in a row. All day Sunday, rinse, wash, and repeat. Didn't live in the past. Was in the moment for most of the time. It's a little bit of like kind of lack of, being there every now and again, lack of presence. I wasn't perfect. Went to bed, dreamt about my future, woke up again. Now today was Monday. I got a busy day. I had a little bit of anxiety when I woke up, but yeah, today's been another great day. And I was telling my therapist about it. I had my therapy session. I do I work with a great therapist out of Chicago. I was telling him about it. I said, man, I've had almost 4 amazing days in a row. These have been 4 really good days. And I got to say, man, like it's a choice that you get to make. And I've been making this choice, and I'm a person that struggles with these things hard. I'm a person that's beat myself up to achieve. I'm a person that tends to worry about the worst thing happening. I'm a person that tends to not believe that my dreams will come true, but I'm going to go work my ass off to try to make it happen. And to just have this mind shift from this book has just been a freaking game changer. So I want to first off say thank you to Ed Mylett for your book. Hopefully I want to interview him. I mean, I was like, man, I want to interview this guy. So Ed, if you hear this, I want to interview you. But man, I will tell everybody right now, and I'm going to have my team put this in the show notes. You should read this book. It's a great book. The guy is, articulate, well written, lots of great information. I read a lot of books, and this has been one of my favorites. It's up there with like the Almanac and Nabal Ravikant, which I think I've talked about in the past. I love that book too. I read a lot of books this year, and I'm almost done with that book. I should finish this book tonight. But yeah, check it out. The Power of One More. And there's other stuff in the book I've been doing too that I'm not talking about. But man, ask yourself that question. Is your emotional house in order? Are you having those 5 or 6 feelings and emotions that you want to have? Are those present most of the day, if not all the day? And then secondly, ask yourself, what suitcases are you carrying around in your brain? Because I will tell you this right now, from my mouth to God's ears, I know that they're not going to serve you. that they're not going to serve your future, the dreams you're trying to create. And last but not least, thirdly, I'm going to say, what dream are you going to give yourself tonight, tomorrow, and the next day? Because if a dream is a gift, I want to keep giving it to myself. And I will tell you this right now, this has been such an amazing mind shift. And I'm going to say it one more last time. Thank you, Ed Mylett. Love your book. Again, appreciate all of you. One of my dreams is to turn this into one of the biggest, if not the biggest podcast in the world. So the only way that's going to happen is if you're sharing it, liking it, giving us some comments. So please do that on any platform. If you love this episode, share it with some friends and go check out Ed's book. Anyway, you don't know this, but it's the second time I recorded this episode because the first time I didn't have my mic turned on. So I want to make sure that the sound quality was good. I did that because I want to make sure that we produce some high quality production for you all. And just want to let you know I love you and appreciate your support. Peace out. Take care. Go clean up that emotional house. Peace.
You are listening to The Greatness Machine, and that's a wrap for today. Listen, if you love what you heard, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform that you're tuning in on so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. We have tons of great people coming on, and we're stoked to have you here to enjoy it with us. Leave us a review. Tell us what you love most about this particular episode. We love getting the reviews. We love to see what you guys love most. And if this particular episode, made you think of someone who's leveling up in their business and in their life, print screen, share it with them. Leaders are the best givers. And after all, we're all here to support and grow with each other. And in case you want to see some of the fun behind the scenes shots or some of the things that we're doing, I'm actually writing about this in my weekly newsletter. Go to www.therealdarius.com and subscribe to my newsletter. We're talking about fun things like business and life and mindfulness and cryptocurrencies and gosh, I don't even know, everything and anything, but it's tons of fun stuff I write about. I try to get it out on a weekly basis. You can subscribe at www.therealdarius.com. And with that said, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace. We're out of here. See you guys on the next one.
She's my lover.